Hello and welcome back, and that's right, it's time to talk about the best 2-bay NAS of the year. And today we're going to talk about my 3 top NASs that are 2 bays and better than pretty much everything else out there. But I will say a few disclaimers straight off the bat. Number one, just because they're in this list does not mean they arrived in 2023. This is the best of the year, and by that what do I mean? I mean this is the best NAS that you can buy right now. At least one of these solutions actually arrived last year, but it was so good it still managed to stay within the top of the pack. And everything I'm going to highlight is one, they are all turnkey NAS solutions. These are all solutions that arrive with both the hardware and the software, so you can get them up and running very quickly. That said, they all are also unpopulated. I will not look at a NAS device that is locked in with the hard drives included. I believe that you should be able to use your whatever drives that you want to go for in different capacities and choose where you want to go to. Consequently, they're not going to be included in this list if you're forced to get a hard drive or SSD with them. I'm looking at UWD. Next, cross-platform support. They've got to support Mac, they've got to support Windows, they've got to support iOS, they've got to support Linux, they've got to support Android. They've got to support the lot, and cross-file sharing between all of them. Also, support of cross partial population, I will say, is quite useful. The idea that you can go ahead and go for one drive and then add on to one later. All of these solutions today support that. And finally, they all arrive with at least 2 to 3 years of manufacturer's warranty. All of the 2 bays listed today were selected utilising Eddie's Build a NAS tool, but also looking at our reviews and all the NAS solutions we've looked at over the years, and particularly ones that are currently available. However, some fly too close to the sun, some, like Icarus, fall down from the sky because they're not quite as good as they hoped they could be. And I'll say straight away, our honourable mention before we get on to our top 3 picks is this. The TerraMaster F2423. This NAS released towards the end of 2022 almost made the cut. It was so darn close, but it has to be said, it just missed out in a few ways. Traditionally, when it comes to TerraMaster, as good as the hardware price point is for a lot of you out there, it is more often than not the software that lets a TerraMaster NAS down. And although you can go ahead and install Unraid or TrueNAS on one of these things, we can't really rate it for that because it's not turnkey designed in that way. On top of that, although as mentioned, the hardware is great with a quad-core Celeron based processor inside, 2x 2.5 gigabit Ethernet there on the rear, 4 gig of DDR4 memory that can be boosted apparently or upgraded officially to 16 or 32 gig of DDR4 memory if you use TerraMaster's own modules, they say. On top of that, it's got 2 M2 NVMe bays inside. I swear, this thing got so darn close to being in our top 3 2-bay NAS list, but it missed out because one, the TOS NAS platform hasn't got quite as many AAA applications as other NAS brands out there. Two, the same hardware configuration, as you're going to see soon, is available on a few other NAS brands, and not only have they provided slightly better software overall than that, but on top of that, they actually took the hardware just a little bit further with the extra 6 to 12 months in the oven they were able to have. It doesn't make this one bad, and if you see this at a great price point, it rocks around at about 350 nicker, so it's actually close enough to being the cheapest NAS on this entire list, I might add, but still, nevertheless, it just missed out by a whisper. The Nimbus Store 2 Gen 2 absolutely caught me unawares in 2023. I'll be straight with it. Acer Store are a brand that have always existed in the world of network attached storage, always been there in the background, but never really had their chance to fully flesh their wings out. And between this and the Flash Door series, 2023 was an absolute boom of a year for Acer Store. We'll talk about the Flash Door in other videos, but this system here, knocking around at about 350 to 360 nicker for a 2-bay, blows away a lot of the competition in terms of hardware, and I include QNAP in that as well, but more on that later on. This system arrived with 2 SATA bays there that support up to 2 22 TB drives inside there. The system also arrives with the N5095 Intel Celeron processor there. You're always going to find that, or the N5105 knocking around everywhere. It also arrives with 4 gig of DDR4 memory that can be scaled up to 16 gig. It's also got 2x 2.5 GBE. It's got an HDMI 2.1B slot, an even better bandwidth choice there for the network connectivity, for the visual connectivity. And there's even support of USB 3.2 Gen 2 there for both Acer Store's expansion systems as well as 2.5 gig Ethernet adapters there. There is a lot to be said here. Indeed, this is actually pretty darn similar in terms of hardware, right, to the one that we just talked about. So what exactly is this bringing to the table to make it stand out so much? Well, nice and simple. You see those little holes? This has got 4 M2 NVMe slots. That's right. This system, with its 2 hard drive bays, allows you to install 4 M2 NVMe's. That's a potential 6 bays of storage. Again, 350 is 360 nicker for this 2 bay. That means the scalability towards flash and the scalability towards a 2-tier hot-cold storage system is phenomenal on this. And although Acer Store's ADM software, again, is only fractionally more evolved, I would say, than TerraMaster's TOS platform, as they fight for the 3rd position a lot of the time in the NAS world. It has to be said that in terms of value for money, what you're getting for your hardware, the Nimbus Store 2 Gen 2 is really, really good value for a 2 bay, while still not just being good value in the kind of cheapy sense, but good value insofar as you've got some genuinely hardcore stuff going on here. And then there's just the look of the thing. It actually looks pretty darn cool as well, with that really nice angular front panel there. It's a plastic external chassis. It's got the single slightly smaller fan there on the rear, and the M2 NVMe's at 3x1 speed. They're not going to get too hot. Thank you again, Acer Store, for doing those tests. But nevertheless, when it comes to the best 2 bay of the year, I've got to give Acer Store props for this system. It was genuinely a real out of the blue hit for me. Come on, they were always going to be in this list. QNAP with the TS264, a NAS that was in last year's best 2 bay NAS of the year, and it still continues to be a real killer amongst the crowd. The TS264 arriving with the Intel Celeron M5105 processor. Again, there are 3 different variants of that processor knocking around. It also, with that quad-core embedded graphics processor, arrives with 4 gig of DDR4 memory, which can be upgraded to 16 gig. But more recent versions of this system have rolled out the gate with fixed memory due to hardware shortages, and you get this 2 bay now arriving with a base level 8 gig of memory that can't be upgraded. Now, as much as I like this system, we've really got to throw it out there that depending on which one you go for, that will affect the price. If you go for the 8 gig model, then you're going to be looking at about the 430 to 450 spend. If you're able to find one of the ones with the removable memory, again, there are different versions out there, you're going to save yourself maybe 30 to 50 quid there. Nevertheless, this system not only arriving with that Intel Celeron and DDR4 memory combo, also arrives with not only the 2 times 2.5 GBE that we discussed, and USB ports that can support the expansion devices from QNAP, of which there are loads, by the way, but it also supports 2.5 gig and, more importantly, 5 gig Ethernet adapters. You can add a couple of 5 gig Ethernet ports to this device, but it doesn't stop there, because not only have you got there inside those 2 main storage bays, you've also got inside 2 M.2 NVMe SSD bays inside there. Again, we mentioned earlier on with the Acer Store, this one's got 4. So what's happening with the rest of our hardware? Did QNAP put their feet up? No, they didn't, because they included a PCIe upgrade slot. A Gen 3 times 4, so that's 2000 megabytes per second bandwidth slot there that can be used, you know, for 10 GBE, you know, more USB ports, you know, combo cards. This allows you, with a card like this in here, to add both a couple more M2 NVMe's and a 10 gigabit Ethernet port inside there. And these cards are getting cheaper all the time, by the way. Not only that in terms of the hardware, but of all the NAS brands we've talked about so far, QTS running on this thing runs like an absolute behemoth. You've got so many AI-powered applications, so many backup applications, so many synchronization applications, so many virtual machine and container applications, so many multimedia applications. Then you've got the QNAP Club unofficial app center. Then you've got loads of third-party app support. Then you've got things like the HDMI output on this device at 4K 60 frames per second, and a dedicated HDMI parallel interface for you to control this system from the comfort of your sofa with a remote control or an app running on your phone, and enjoy your multimedia, enjoy your surveillance, enjoy everything from this system. And a parallel local interface to go with the remote access interface of this system. Add to that, of all those things so far, you've then got that this system arrives with the surveillance application with 8 camera licenses included with it in QVR Pro, and AI supported applications and AI supported peripherals on M.2 that are 20 to 30 nicker that really boost what this thing can do. Now, we're not, let's, stop for a second there. QNAP are still a brand out there that when it comes to security and their software are still getting question marks thrown around over deadbolt there. And if you are worried about running this system in that climate of deadbolt and until you feel like you can trust the brand enough, I completely understand why you might want to keep a system like this on local only access. But it has to be said that if you're looking at local only access anyway, this system is an absolute dreamboat of a 2-bay. And although QNAP have released a lot of 2-bays, and of course one of the ones that nearly made it was the 262 over there, I will highlight straight away that in terms of 2-bays, in terms of the best hardware and software 2-bay in the market right now, this thing wins in spades. Now, the DVA1622 from Synology is going to seem super weird to some of you to see on this list. Obviously, there was always going to be a Synology NAS. Wherever it is that you're looking at 2-bays and 4-bays or rack mounts or whatever, when it comes to NAS software, Synology rule the roost. They're always going to be on this list because when it comes to buying a NAS, if the software is what's important to you, spending less time configuring the system, you want a system that is as simple as possible, but also being capable and hand-hold you along the way, but also gets the job done. Synology's DSM has always done a really, really good job. Of all of the Synology 2-bay NASs out there, the DS224 Plus, the DS723 Plus, etc., why am I picking the most expensive 2-bay, the DVA1622, at 550 to 600 nicker? This system is nearly twice the price of some of the systems I've talked about. What on earth does this system do to justify its price tag? And my answer is pretty much everything, because not only does this run with DSM and running with a quad-core integrated graphics Celeron processor, the J4125, which, if we're going to be honest, is a bit old, it also arrives with 6 gig of DDR4 memory. It also arrives with 8 camera licenses for surveillance station. It also runs 2 active AI processes inside. It has got a hardware architecture that whizzes over the majority of Synology 2-bays out there. Now, of course, down here, behind, we have also got the DS723 tucked here at the bottom of the screen. And I'll be straight with you, this system down here is pretty darn good, running on a dual-core Ryzen with a 10GB upgrade. It very nearly made the cut. But it has to be said that that 2-bay knocks around for about 350 to 400 nicker. And it's got a dual core, it's got 2 gig of memory, yes, it's ECC and it's 10GB upgradable, but those are all things you have to do extra. Whereas the DVA1622 not only does everything, and I mean everything, within DSM, that's DSM 7.2, you're talking volume encryption, you're talking write once, read many, you're talking about hyper backup, you're talking about active backup, you're talking about virtual machines, you're talking about all of the full range of the collaboration suite. But on top of that, we are talking about a system that runs with the best possible experience at its scale for surveillance station, running 8 cameras comfortably within those licenses and allows you to add up to 16 long term, 2 active AI processes for facial recognition and more. And on top of that, not having to buy those extra licenses. Once you price up the extra 4 gig of memory that a 2-bay equivalent would have normally at 2 gig, you price up all of those camera licenses there, you put it all together, this system's a bargain at a 2-bay. And if you're going for a 2-bay NAS system and you were really keeping an eye on surveillance as well to maximise your investment, the DVA1622 might well be, as I mentioned in my previous review video, the best Synology 2-bay I have ever seen. But there you go, those are the best 2-bay NAS to buy at the end of 2023 and the start of 2024. All of them within their own way when it comes to value, comes to hardware, comes to software, just comes to general price point, all have their strengths. And I hope one of these 2-bay NASs is the one that helps you store your data safely long term. Now, if you need further assistance on choosing the right solution for your needs, you're still on the fence, use the free advice section over on NAScompares on the right hand side of every page, or head over to the membership tier there to access the inner circle for expedited support, or you can go to the commission section on Ko-Fi and Patreon in order to hire me or Eddie to help you with your own data storage needs very easily on there. Alternatively, use our Discord or free community forum Ask NAScompares, or use the comment section below. Finally, in the description below underneath this video, we have already detailed reviews, tests, Plex, VMs, performance, the works for a number of all of the systems that we talk about on the channel, but more precisely these ones. There's also links to buy them over on Amazon, B&H and a few other stores. If you were going to go to those shops anyway, please use those links, as doing so will result in a small commission coming back to here that allows me and Eddie to keep doing what we do. But apart from that, I hope you've had a fantastic year. Enjoy your Christmas, enjoy your new year, and I'll see you in 2024.